Hey guys, this is Christine with Cards by Christine, coming to you on a Tuesday for Tip Tuesday. And today we're going to talk about the Cork specialty paper that is in the Holiday Mini Catalog. And it was introduced in, I think it was August. I'm trying to think when it was. I was able to get my hands on it back in July during the pre-order period, but customers were able to order it, I think, on August 3rd with the introduction of the Holiday Mini Catalog. It was introduced in the Nature's Harvest Suite, Nature's Harvest Suite, Nature's Medley, Nature's Harvest Suite, I think. And then it's the Harvest Meadow Suite with the Nature's Beauty stamp set. I get so confused when they don't name the suite the same as the bundle. It just gets me every time. As you can see, that's what just happened. So very similar names, but yet different. So the Cork specialty paper is a special kind of paper, and it really caught my attention when Stampin' Up! Posted a weekly update on it way back on June 30th, even before we could get our hands on ordering it. And I wanted to read what they wrote with regards to the Cork specialty paper because it really made me think about it when I actually got my hands on it and then started working on it when I designed the cards for the Harvest Meadow class. And so this is what they wrote, that they're very excited to offer the Cork specialty paper, and it's a new item in the July to December mini catalog. It's different from any of their other normal cardstock or specialty paper. Cork is a soft, natural product that may shrink and expand in different environments. As such, tolerance during the cutting process is more than our normal variations in size. So they want you to keep that in mind as you're using this paper and preparing your projects and cards that you're making, because I noticed that the size differs from page to page. And as much as they love this new paper, they hope that we do as well and that you enjoy creating with it. And I thought that was really interesting. So I searched for that weekly update and I found it because I wanted to read it to you. And so that manufacturing process is special, and the heating and the cooling can shrink and expand this paper. And it really hit me when I had to prep the card, like the pieces for the card kits that you guys are getting in your kits that are coming. This class is going to be online next week, Thursday, in person next week, Wednesday. And in making the kits, I had to be very careful with cutting the paper because it's not quite 12 by 12. And so if you're using this paper to make cards at home or to make projects at home, keep that in mind because you're not going to get exactly a 4 by 4 square potentially, or a 3 by 4 square and multiple pieces of it if you don't quite have 4 inches. And so what I want to do is show you that and also give you some ideas as if you stamp on the paper and show you a few card samples in case you feel inspired to get the Cork paper, just to give you some ideas of how you could use the Cork paper in your projects. So let me flip down, and I'm also going to show you really quickly too where you can find the Cork paper in the Holiday Mini Catalog. So page 55 is where the Harvest Meadow Suite is introduced. The stamp set is called Nature's Harvest, as is the bundle. You can see here, this is where you can find the Cork paper, and it is $7.50 for two 12 by 12, I did quotes, 12 by 12 sheets, okay? They try to do 12 by 12, and they get that. A lot of the time, they do get the 12, but it's not exactly 12. So what I want to do is open up a brand new pack so you guys can see. One little tip, a side tip for you guys. I hate peeling back this extra flap because it leaves sticky residue and that hits something else that's behind it, right? So I always on my embellishments and my paper like this, I just take my scissors and I slice this open at the top. I hate that stickiness getting caught on stuff. It has wrecked things. So I generally will always slice that open at the top, and then I don't have to deal with that. So I'm going to pull out the 2 sheets that I got in this pack, and I'm going to pretty much bet you money. I won't bet money. I don't bet money. I'm not a bettor. I'm not a gambler. So I'm not going to bet you, but I'm going to pretty much guarantee you that this isn't going to be 12 by 12. And so when I put my ruler on here It is short here, and it's hard to see it in the camera, but it's short by 1/8 of an inch, okay? And as you move down the page, it can change. Like here, it's not quite 1/8 of an inch. And then down here, it's about the same. So going this way, we're not at 12. We are 1/8 inch short. But when you go this way, you're over an inch, okay? So you're at 12 and like maybe a good 1/16 because you're not quite 1/8. Okay, so this is longer than 12 inches and this one's shorter than 12 inches. And that's so important because when I was designing for this card for the class that's coming up, this needed to be 4 inches. And I actually had to look at each side to see which one had 12 and work that way when cutting this paper for that card. So let's try this one really quick, just so you guys can see that this is something that you need to take into consideration when you're using this one. And this one's a 1/16 short. And then if we go this way, I think that one is over again. But I will tell you that doesn't seem like a lot. And in one of the sheets, or even multiples of the sheets, when I had a cut for 60 pieces like this, I had a few sheets that were actually 1/4 of an inch. So that much short of 12 inches. And so it can throw you off if you're relying on like a 4x4 square or a 3x4 square. And so what happens then is if you do get, and you're short that, so let's say you did cut your mat at 4 inches. This is the mat that goes underneath here for this to attach to. If you cut that mat at 4 inches, and now you have this piece that's short, what you're gonna end up with is extra color on this side, and you'll just have to trim that. And so you might not truly have 4 inches. So I just wanna make everybody aware that that is the case with this Cork specialty paper. It does not make it defective that it is not 12 by 12. It just makes it that you have to take it into consideration. It's a special paper. It is super cool. It's got this cork feel to it. And there's also these, like sometimes these see-through areas. Like it doesn't look like that in the camera, but there's actually this glisten to it there. You can kind of see in the camera that it gets a little glistening in some of those areas. It looks glossy, okay? So I did hear yesterday that somebody heard along the way that this Cork paper has an adhesive back on it. You guys, I tried on this little piece right here for the life of me to take my nails and to take my pick tool. Maybe it wasn't that one. Maybe it was, oh, this one. I tried to take my pick tool. You can see here, I pulled off. Oh, let's see how you can see that. Oh, there. I tried to pull this off. If anybody knows that this really is adhesive back and you can peel this and it makes it sticky, you better write in these comments right now and tell me how to make that come off, because I was picking, and I stopped after 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm done trying to pick this back off. I just assume glue it on, okay? So how you want to glue this paper on is, because it is very, very delicate, I really do advise, like if you're gluing on, where did it go? Here. If you're gluing on a piece onto cardstock, that you do keep your glue as close to the edge without oozing out or going over, like on The Price is Right. Don't let it go over the edge, like that little mountain climber. You go closest to the edge without going over. So you want to get it nice and glued. I definitely would recommend like the craft glue, tape runner. Don't use that. People ask about that blue glue where it's Tombow but blue on the ends. That's a water-based. That will definitely warp this because it's so thin. So definitely try to get the adhesive as close to the edge as you can. When you're putting that on here, it'll help it so it doesn't like wrinkle and warp, okay? So that's a little bit about adhering it, and then also how you can use it. So the other thing too is so that goes with that, I can't confuse it. I wanted to show you guys something else about stamping on it. So I've got a couple different sample cards here. This was a sample card that I made. This is for the Harvest Meadow class that's coming up next week. So I will be doing this live on Thursday, September 30th. You can catch it next week. But I wanted to also show you a couple cards. Well, there's actually more than a few, of how people incorporated the cork paper into their cards. And here they used a strip that was about 5.5 by maybe 1.5 to use it as a little background here. swap card from Deb Snyder. This one is from Kathy Miller. She took a little rectangle swatch and put it behind here. Very nice color combination. The cork really complements, that was a drop. The cork really complements Misty Moonlight very, very nicely. You can see how the cork just has such a complementary color. And then here you can see how it complements the Cajun Craze color as well, mixed in with the Sahara Sand. In this case, who was it? Jay Shante. She did a little baby strip here, like a 1 inch by 4. She just kind of backed that behind the ribbon, and it just accents it slightly. And here's an example where you can use the cork paper to actually do die cutting. And this flower was part of the die set that you get with the dies, the harvest dies or the nature dies. And then you can use this. It's thin enough, and there's that backing of the paper that isn't very waxy. So this could cut out very intricate dies, or it could cut out silhouettes or shapes very nicely. So that was a Mindy Gray card. Okay, so the other thing that I was researching about, and I haven't honestly done this yet, so we're going to experience this together, see how it goes. So one of the tips that I learned is that you can stamp with it. And so what we could do is we could stamp. I'm going to take Early Espresso with, this is one of the stamps from the Nature's Harvest stamp set. You can stamp on your cork paper. So one of the things that was advised is to use a stamp apparatus. The cork paper is a little spongy and it soaks it in fast, and then you might want more color. Well, you guys, you know I kind of fly by the seat of my pants, and so I thought, well, I'm going to wing it and tell you that you can use the stamp apparatus if you feel like you want darker images. But I am going to trust in my ink pad at this moment in my life and, and go for it. I'm going to ink this up, and I'm going to rely on our marinating philosophy that if you allow the ink to sit on the paper for a second or 10 or maybe even 20, that it might just work. so like, let's pretend that this is the mat of our card. Let's actually make it the mat. So I'm actually going to cut it a little bit shorter. So I'm guessing this is 5 and we want it by 3 3/4. So I'm going to cut it down to that size so that maybe someday I will use this cork piece of paper to actually put a one-off card together. Are you guys creators of cards that you will make just one design and never make another one? Or if you're making a card, do you always have to make multiples? Because it's always easier to make more than one. The thing is, I know people that have a hard time making the same card twice. And so this might be that one opportunity that I make just one card. Or you know what? Maybe somebody will get this peek. Oh, I can't give out stamped images. Sorry, can't give this out. It would have to be in the form of card. So this one requires me to make a card if I'm going to give this away. That's how it's going to go. And we're going to figure out as we go. So all I really wanted to do was show you the concept that you can stamp on the cork paper. And you want to make sure that you get a good image. So you guys, you're seeing this the first time with my eyes, the first time seeing how it works. Unless you've done it before, right? So maybe you've already stamped on cork paper. If you have, I'd love to hear your suggestions on it. So what I understand is that you would probably have the best bang for your buck if you set it up on the stamp apparatus and you can do the repetitive stamping so that you get it lined up, and then you could stamp it maybe 2 to 3 times, adding more ink. So I said I wasn't going to do that because we're going to wing it. But my note here is that after you take this stamp off here, I understand that it's very hard for the ink to dry in the cork paper. So you're going to want to use your heat tool to dry it. Otherwise, it will, oh my gosh, I have a card here. Oh, I have one more card to show you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna let this marinate for 10 more seconds while I go get a card to share with you. In the near future, I will be needing to schedule a swap card showcase because we just had the team swap party this past weekend, and there is a beautiful card in here made by the talented Carissa Alberts, and well, that's one of them. The other one is the, what did she do? It must be in here. Hold the phone, guys. Oh, here it is. Okay. We were blown away by this card. It's so pretty. And it uses the cork paper. But you look at the difference in the cork paper. It's 2 different colors. Well, you know what she did? She took her sponge dauber with white ink and she sponged over the top of the cork paper to make it look even more birchy or birch-like, okay? But in the interim, what she explained to us is that it took forever for white craft ink to dry on the cork paper because you have a pigment ink on a spongy paper. And so what happened is even after she dried them, you can just barely see. I must have gotten a sample that it did good, but there's a little bit of white residue here, white ink that's here. But the card sample that she opened up to show had a bunch more white ink. So just going to show you how you can use another element to cork paper is the sponging of white or any color. You could even do crumb cake over it to give it a different texture, but she did the white craft pad over the top of it, and you have to heat it up, she said, with the heat tool, otherwise it will leave embossing like ink on this backside here. So isn't that a beautiful card though? That another sample with the cork paper. Oh, she did the white embossing of her trees. First she took Balmy Blue and blended, and then she stamped the evergreen trees, and then she embossed the white over the top with embossing powder. So fabulous, fabulous, amazing card, you guys. So I'm so happy I remembered that. So just stay tuned also because we're going to have another swap card showcase in the near future. So do you guys think I gave this enough time? Right? Thumbs up if I gave it enough time. Let's see what happened. I'm curious. Okay. It stamped it. Very, very good. Okay. You can see it. I definitely can see every part of that flower, but here's the thing. I do know that if I would have taken the Stamparatus and had this set down with magnets and lined it up and inked it up, it would be doubly as dark and probably show up even more on here. Now, I'm curious. The way I test if ink is dry is I take I take my finger and I press on it. Do you see all the ink that got on my thumb? That's definitely wet ink right there. So the one thing I do not ever do when I'm testing if ink is dry, I don't go and swipe it or swoosh it or smush it or smudge it or smear it. Any of those adjectives or verbs or whatever, all those. So how I do test it is I go straight down and straight up. And there's ink on my finger here. So, and then be careful, don't touch anything else that you're working on. But I'm going to let this dry overnight. But if you need it faster, get your heat tool out and you go and heat tool it up, heat it up. So just to show you that you can stamp on the cork paper as well. Now, Stamparatus would be my tip on that one. So lots of little tips, all in a nutshell here, guys. A little bit about the cork paper. It's not an expensive paper to use and adds such a great, big, soft, organic look to your card making. So I hope that some of those samples and just talking through it made you guys excited for it. Don't be intimidated by the cork paper. Just know it's there to help you add beauty to your projects. Little bits or big parts, however big or small you want to use pieces, or even die cut the pieces if you want to color them, ink them up, however you like to do it. Just add a little cork to your card, and I think that you will be very happy. So if you have any questions, you guys, on using the cork paper, if you need help with anything, or if you do know that that adhesive is on the back of there and you can peel it off, I want to see that. You better tell me right away. I'm really curious to know. Inquiring minds want to know, like the National Enquirer, right? So guys, let me know on that. And then also, if you have made any projects using the cork specialty paper, I challenge you guys to post them in the comments of this video so that as other people are watching this video, they can see what special, beautiful projects you have made. So you guys, lots of sunshine, love, and hugs and happiness to you always. And be tuned for Kelly doing her Technique Thursday. I think it's here, actually. She made it over the weekend. And so I'm looking at her beautiful creation right now. So you guys stay tuned for Kelly on Thursday. All right. See you later. Bye, guys.